Hello, good evening, family. How are you doing? Such a joy to have you tonight on Supernatural Conversations. Mhm. Hello. What is basically Supernatural Conversations? I'd like you to share the link with somebody while we talk about beautiful things tonight. Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay. Please share the link and let's talk about the supernatural again tonight. And such always a joy to have you ask questions about the supernatural and how we'll answer them. Oh, glory to Jesus. Are you ready tonight? Are you engage me in your platforms? If you have not subscribed to this channel, I'd like you to do so now. If you have subscribed already, beautiful. But if you have not, I'd like you to click the subscribe button while we talk about the supernatural today. If you have not subscribed to this channel, I'd like Supernatural Conversations with Bishop Feyi. Are you ready? The supernatural is our reality. It's what is normal for the believer. It should be normal for you. It should be your abode. So let me do some housekeeping. Felicia, good to see you. I didn't see you on Sunday. Favor Bami Boye. God bless you. Thank you for joining. Samuel Ayodele, I see you. Levi, I see you. Would you? God bless you. Olua Fumilayo, live here this time. Beautiful. Is it your first time? If it's your first time live here, you can let me know it's your first time. Okay. Israel Adelani, God bless you. Please, can you share the link? And I would like it if you can also post the link in the comment section so that people can get to share the link on their status. Oh, beautiful. Post the link. I also want to grab the link and put on my status. Share it with all our platform connect groups and all that so that we can be blessed. Oh, your second time, beautiful. If you're lower, that said, James, God bless you. Gabriel, I see you. Timberlane, I see you. Dio, God bless you. Tosin, I see you. Toby, is that Toby? Yes, I think so. I see you. We are 24. We are 24 on this in this meeting. I'd like you to share the link. Now we are 27 jumping. I'd like you to share the link quickly Good. Yes, yes, yes. Supernatural conversation is life. Life. Good. It's life. I want to share some things with you tonight, and let's discuss how these things are possible. We must never lose the appetite for the supernatural. We must never lose the appetite for the supernatural. We must never lose our appetite for the supernatural. It is real. We must embrace it, and we must press to walk in it. It's sad how that the church today is becoming largely a mental church, moving away from the supernatural. However, I still celebrate the workings of God in many places. Watch a video of a ministry that had a lot of miracles last Sunday. I was so excited about what God is doing in different places. But my position is this. I love the fact that we have seen miracles. We have seen the dead raised. Mm. We have seen all kinds of miracles, healing, deafness, sight, and all of that. I've seen people from different facets, from different lineage in the Christian faith, lineage in the Christian faith. I've seen people from different lineage in the Christian faith working all kinds of miracles. Beautiful. However, my position is that people somehow we have seen box our minds, and we think just some kinds of miracle are possible, some kind are not possible. Some kinds of miracle can be experienced, some cannot be experienced. Now, I think strongly that's what people think today, which is not really true. Which is not true. Which is not true. Which is not true. Praise Jesus. Um, so I believe strongly, I hope you can hear me. You must never lose your appetite for the supernatural. You must never settle for what is just mental. The church should be intelligent. We will be intelligent. We will grow in knowledge of God's word and all that. But we must never lose our appetite for the supernatural. I see miracles in different areas in the Christian faith. I hear all kinds of miracles, which I'm excited about, but I still believe there is more. And my desire and passion is that the church is able to not move away from this, but move into elemental miracles, real Bible miracles that the world cannot gainsay. Do you get? Healing miracle is supernatural, it's beautiful. Deaf hearing, blind seeing, lame walking, dead coming back to life, broken bones joined together. They are all miracles. But they are all miracles, supernatural miracles by God's power. I do not by any means reduce them. Anytime I see any of those miracles, I see wow. Sometimes I cry and shed tears about these miracles, which is how I keep my heart simple, like that of a child. But I believe strongly that what is available for us is beyond that. Because when we look at the patriarchs on the faith and the matriarchs that we have, the one we were able to live with, when I was able to live with, the ones we saw, the ones we read in the book, and far back into the Bible, the ones in the Bible days, all of these people, awesome men and women, they walked in something greater than just healing. The reason for me is that many times, somehow, sadly, there's an alternative to healing. If I don't heal you now of a thing, you can, one way or the other, look for a medical alternative to that thing. But there are some miracles you know that there is no medical alternative. There are some miracles you know there is no scientific alternative. There are some miracles that are elemental, that are mind-boggling, that you know that this cannot be worked. You know this can only be God. You know that for sure. There are miracles like that till today. And this is very important. We must press for these kinds of miracles as a church. we must press for these kinds of miracles. As believers, we must press for these kinds of miracles. So my joy and my desire is that I push you into those realms. My joy and desire for you as a believer is to push into this realm, is to encourage you and to make sure you you walk in these things. That's my joy and desire. My joy and desire is that you press for all that is available in Christ Jesus. The supernatural is possible. I tell you, my brother, you can be a walking miracle. You can control the elements of the earth. You can move from one place to another. You can experience the best of God massively beyond what the world can explain. You can provide solution that has no alternative in medicine. I mean, you can do that. You can. The question is, are you ready? Are you ready? So tonight, in our brief 40-minute meeting, I would like to just talk about, one of my many encounters. You know, many years ago, I started experiencing the supernatural. Many years ago, I began to witness the supernatural, and I'll say firmly that what produced this area of my life was a relationship. That was about the time I met my late spiritual father, and that was about the time I began to hunger for the supernatural. The truth about it is this: the supernatural flows in company. The supernatural flows in company. It flows in company. If you are in the right company, you will experience the supernatural. If you are in the right company, you will experience the supernatural. Are you getting what I'm saying? You will experience the supernatural. If you're in the right company, you begin to desire for the supernatural. Your desire for the supernatural will increase. You begin to experience things in different ways. All right, Bumi, good to see you. Who else am I just catching up with now? Chris Chooks. All right, is it your first time here? Good to have you. If you have not shared the link, I'd like to share it quickly. All right. The supernatural flows in company. If you are in the right company of people, you will experience the supernatural that they if you are in the right company of people, you will experience the supernatural. You will hunger for it. Even if your experience has not begun yet, you begin to hunger for it that way. You begin to hunger for what you see around them. You begin to thirst for what you see around them. That is how the supernatural works. The supernatural is a thing that must be coveted. It's a thing that can jump on you, but most importantly, you step into it just by relationship. You know that some of my sons and daughters, just by the kind of calls they see me make, sometimes they just watch me pray for somebody on the phone, sometimes they just bump into a conversation, sometimes they just see the moment they experience these things I'm talking about, the next thing that happens to them is that they begin to desire. There's an hunger for it. You know, it's always said, you can have a taste for something that you have not seen or heard or watched or even tasted. So the reason you desire something is because you have seen the look-alike of it, or you have seen that thing somewhere before. It's the same with the supernatural. So the way the supernatural flows is that as a man that wants to walk in the supernatural, or that desire to walk in the supernatural, when you begin to see people around you walk in those things, you begin to embrace it. And if, let me warn you, and if you find people around you disapproving of the supernatural, if you follow a pastor online that speaks against the supernatural, if you follow a pastor online that speaks against prophet and say, why do prophets call names, why do they do this and all of that, if you will begin that, those things will be, we start those things will become distant from you. You just notice that you are getting far from those things, not because there's anything wrong with you, just because the people you listen to, your company, your friends, do not approve of that thing. You may even disagree with them, but that is not enough, because you are just in the wrong company. You just notice that the supernatural is not real to you. Are you getting it? The first time, for example, the first time I had fuel multiplied in my car, I'm not sure. Have I seen my father multiply fuel at that time? I'm not very sure, because there were so many encounters anymore. So many encounters, but I'm not sure I was properly taught, because I remember it was the early years of my relationship with him. This was 2007 or 8. After my encounter with him, there was one of the times he told me to go and spend some time with the Lord on the mountain, and I traveled to the mountain to go be with the Lord, and I took some of my proteges with me. On my way to the mountain, fuel finished in the car. We drove around. There was no fuel. We parked the car, took a bike all around to get fuel in petrol stations in Ekiti. We couldn't get any, and we asked, "How far are we to the mountain?" They told us we stay about 1 hour, 30 minutes or 2 hours to the mountain. Even if our reserve, cars usually have reserve. This was an under, but cars usually have reserve. Your reserve can still take you for like 20, 30 minutes, some 40 minutes. But already we're on empty already. They had given the empty signal. And that was where we were. And it was late night, I think about 10 p.m. or so. Late in the night, really dark. Everywhere was shut down. Can we get black market? We couldn't get black market. Any amount we were ready to pay. Money was available. There was no fuel. This is why you work in the supernatural. The people that work in the supernatural are not just broke people. You don't work in the supernatural because you are broke and you're broke, you're busted, you don't have a job, you're taking your life seriously, you are not going to school, you are not working, you are educated, but you are sleeping at home, and you want to work in the supernatural. No, that's not how it works. No. That's not how it works. There will be time. Money is what do we call it? Money is a medium of exchange. But there will be times in your life where money will fail. There will be times in your community where money will fail, where money may not be the medium of exchange that you want at that time. What do? So the days when money fails and money cannot serve as a medium of exchange, the supernatural becomes your medium of exchange. And the supernatural will always work, if you understand how it works. Are you following? So that night, we couldn't get fuel, and we had walked everywhere. We parked the car, we used bike, we paid the bike guy and drove us different places, direction with kegs. We couldn't get fuel. We couldn't sleep on the road because we were scared. Not scared of fear, but I'm never afraid of anything. But the kind of feeling like this is not the best place for us to be. I was not even alone. I was with a lady and I was with a guy. We were 3 in the vehicle. And we're going to the mountain to pray, to be there for some days. After we've done all that, and there was no way, money in our hand was useless. Money in the card was useless. I looked at my guys. I said, come, let's lay hands on this car. We laid hands on the car. I didn't say I laid, we laid. If I did, I'll tell you I did. All right. We laid hands on the car. And I told them, decree this word, that the fuel in the car be multiplied. And because whether you like it or not, look at it, this is how the supernatural works. There's a mental side of the supernatural because it's called supernatural. There's a natural side of the supernatural because it's called supernatural. It's not called super. It's not called super heaven. It's supernatural. That is, it's beyond the natural. It means that there's still a natural influence. So whatever, there's still natural There's a natural side to the supernatural, because if the super manifests, it must manifest in the natural. It won't manifest in the superior realm. When the supernatural manifests, it must manifest in the natural. It must be tangible and natural for your heart to embrace it. Who will drive an empty car on a 2-hour journey? How? In the night. Who will do that? So you stay there. Okay, after praying, can we just lay hands on the car, pray, and we'll start going? That's beautiful. That will be a lot of faith. Even if you cannot see that the petrol in the car has increased, but that will still be a lot of faith. But it means that your faith did not produce an instant result. I said, no, lay hands on this car. The gauge will respond. This was a brand new car. I think I bought it just a year before that time, just about a year-old car or less. We laid hands on the car, shout hallelujah. Type hallelujah right there. We laid hands on the car. When we laid hands on the 3 of us, I told them what to say. And after that, we look at the ignition, trying to remember the story, because it's not the first time, it's not the 5th time, 7th time it happened to me. So I'm trying to remember this particular one. I think we turned off the engine and we started the car again. And the petrol that was empty had moved to half tank. Half tank. Let me show you how the supernatural works. The supernatural does not work outside your mind. It works with your mind. Note it down. Punch it down. It's a punchline. It's a major punchline. The supernatural does not work outside of your mind. It will end up working with your mind. The supernatural will end up working with your mind. You cannot separate your mind from supernatural operations. The kitchen door. You cannot separate the supernatural from your mind. Sorry about the break in transmission. You cannot separate the supernatural from your mind. The supernatural cannot work outside of your mind. Even though what created is the power of God, your words, the mysteries you understand, also beautiful, but it cannot work outside of your mind. You will still need your mind to embrace whatever you have received. So this is how it works. Let me show you. So we laid hands on the car. The fuel rose from, I'm sharing this because there's so much fuel scarcity in Lagos, in Nigeria right now. And if you understand this principle, you might just have to feel while others are experiencing the scarcity of it. You can have money in your hands, but you can't exchange it for petrol. So let's talk about this. So what happens? What happens? Laid hands on the car, and we said, let the fuel multiply. The fuel multiplied, we turned off the engine, and we started the car again, and it was half tank. One of the words we said was that this car would take us to the mountain, to the foot of the mountain. We release fuel to take us to the foot of the mountain. The gauge of the car respond to it. We see it on a dashboard. I will decree those words. But the one I cannot forget till Jesus return is that we said it would take us to the foot of the mountain. This story is available on Facebook. People have shared it. People that were with me have shared it. So what happened? We went, we drove. We started the car and it was half tank. Everybody was amazed. Wow, half tank? How come? So we drove. Half tank filled from empty. We drove and we drove to the mountain. We got to the foot of the mountain. We got our things. We parked the car there. We climbed up. I went to the third mountain. The lady was in the first mountain. I went to the third mountain with my boy, and we're there for days. After some days, we needed to come down to charge our phones. We came down, we charged the phone in the car, but there was no light on the mountain. We charged the phone in the car with the car charger so we could do some correspondence and all of that. We replied messages, we did all of that. We went back. After we were done spending days and weeks on the mountain, when we got to the mountain, the fuel in the car was still about half or quarter tank. So the mindset was that, okay, while we're leaving the mountain, we would just drive out. This fuel would take us another 1 hour or so or two. Then on our way, we look for a petrol station, we'll get fuel and return to Edo State at that time. That was the mindset. Then we left. So as we left the mountain, we got to the foot of the mountain. I started the car. And the car did not start. Oh, okay, it started, but I think it did not move. I started the car again. The conclusion was that there was no fuel in the car anymore. But while we were coming down to charge, our phones in the car, we had about quarter tank of fuel. We didn't use it. We didn't drain it. So what happened? What happened? I was surprised. So we had to look for kegs. We bought fuel, poured it into the car. Then the car started and we went home. Now, understand this. Look at the operations. Number one, why didn't the fuel take us back home or take us away from the mountain? The instruction was that the car should take us to the foot of the mountain, not take us to the mountain and take us back home. Take note. Number one, understand the operations of the supernatural. That was the instruction. We didn't say we release fear, multiply, take us to the mountain, take us back home, drive us all around Lagos for the next 2 weeks. We didn't say that. We didn't say that. The other part you need to understand was this. Did the fuel really, really multiply? Or God's hand was just on the engine to drive us to the mountain and back? If the fuel multiplied, was it supplied and later they removed the fuel? The angels removed the fuel when we were at the foot of the mountain. Why was it that we got to the mountain, then after that time, the fuel that was there just disappeared? I noticed from that experience that what the fuel that was supplied was the fuel that was needed for the instruction I issued into the realm of the spirit. One, understand that whatever is produced on earth, a version of it is available in the realm of the spirit. Then number two, follow me carefully. When I needed to move, I wouldn't have moved that car if that car gauge did not the fuel gauge. Is it gauge? They call it or gauge. They call it the fuel gauge that shows the amount of fuel. If the fuel gauge did not increase, I wouldn't have moved. So by the activity of angels, it increased, and I saw it. So my mind worked with the supernatural now in a way that now it can now embrace what God has done. So I could now drive. The supernatural was created by my words, but my mind had to receive it and embrace it. And I saw the fuel gauge rules. Are you following me? Now, glory to Jesus. So it's a time to find empty egg and lay hands. Glory to Jesus. Huh? Empty cakes. Okay, when we want to write empty cakes. Okay. All right. We can also lay eggs on empty egg shells, and yolks and all the liquid will be back in it. This was a supernatural experience. This was one of the few or early supernatural experiences I had. And at that time, I began to say, okay, this is possible. And there was another journey that we had like that, and there was no fear. So we wanted to lay hands, but take note in the operations of the Spirit. As we wanted to lay hands this time, I think we were two or three or so. As we were about to, I said, okay, let's lay hands on this car. Therefore, I should multiply and take us to the journey. As we wanted to lay hands, I just received something else in my heart. And you know, when I received something in my heart, in the place of the supernatural, I knew that's what the Lord is speaking to me to do. That's the expression of the Spirit that was available to work. And what I received in my heart was like, you know, you have not been drinking enough water. And you know, Feyi in Nigeria is always colored. So your urine is about the same color of Feyi. So, and he received in my heart, urinate into a bottle, pour it into the tank. This tank was almost totally empty, not totally empty. I urinated into the bottle, poured it into the tank. If you understand science, you know that urine cannot work in fuel pump. And when your fuel pump pumps urine into your engine, you know what happens. And I poured urine into the engine. I poured urine into the engine of my car. But this time, I think I'd seen my father did this before I did this. Yeah. I poured urine into the engine of my car. And we drove. And the car took us to our destination and back. So when the car returned, I said, let me go and service. Let me go and service my car so that they will not come and tell me one day that something that happened to my car. So I told the mechanic what I did. He was shocked, said, urine? Ow. He said, even if there was fuel, if you fill your car, with urine in the car, your fuel pump should be bad in a few minutes. You know, these days, even if you buy bad petrol in Nigeria, petrols that are mixed, you buy it in Nigeria and you drive on it. When you drive on it, what happens? In a few hours, your fuel pump is bad. And I had urine in the car. And I drove the car to and fro my journey, day in, one day out. When the guy opened the fuel pump, he found the urine all in one corner. Just there. It did not mix with anything, and we removed the urine. The fuel pump continued working. We got proper fuel into the car, and the car was fine all throughout. Did you notice something? Did you notice something? That different operations for the same situation, the same operations rather, but different approach for the same situation, the same operations of the Spirit, the same angelic activity needed, but different approach for the same need, which means that if a man will continually walk in the supernatural, it must be susceptible to the things of the Spirit, to the point that he is able to hear God and know the decision is to make part-time on the matter. You do not say you hear God, I want the supernatural, I just do this. There's a room for that where you can apply laws and do as you will, as you wish. But the things become easier when whatever decision you're making, whatever you are doing is inspired by the Spirit. Inspired by the Spirit. You know, today, type it there in the comment section. I can multiply few. I can travel long journey with little or no petrol. Type it there for yourself. Type it there for yourself. Are these things possible for you to do? Yes, they are possible. I've not come to preach to you the ways of a prophet. I've come to preach to you the ways of the believer. The hindrance has been your mind. One Bible text that changed my life many years ago. And for a long time, I kept saying it until I had a church or pastor where I need to teach my church members doctrine, complete doctrine in different areas of the Bible. So you notice that it looks like Bishop has lost some emphasis. There are some things I say all the time before. They still mean so much to me because as a pastor, you have to talk about all kinds of things. That is why I might not be laying emphasis on those again. But the truth remains. The truth remains. Now the Bible says, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. Your heart must be guarded. It is your heart that determines what you are working. It is your heart that determines what you embrace. It is your heart that determines it all. Your heart, 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 your heart. So, in my supernatural conversation today, I've shown you what was possible by the Spirit. I've shown you what was possible by the Spirit. I've shown you what I did with you. Next week, I'll come back to you again and show you another supernatural conversation, supernatural activity in our supernatural conversation. I will answer questions on how to make them happen. I've told you what I did here, but that may not be all you need to do before you do it. There's the ask posture that must be right. I'll come back to this table next time and we'll discuss this. Thank you for joining me tonight. I'd like you to click the subscribe button if you have not, so that you get the next post, so that you get the next detail about the next meeting. So you get the next post, next details about the next meeting. Thank you for watching. God bless you. My name is Bishop Feyi. Please, few announcement. All HODs and assistant HODs, you must give me a report after every configure. So please, team head and HODs, communicate this to each other right now. You must give a report of your attendance at CYD every morning after the meeting. Take note. Our fasting and prayer starts tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last day of the month. Start tomorrow. It will be on YouTube at Irene Global. Good night. God bless you. See you tomorrow night on YouTube at Irene Global as we pray. Thank God for this month of January and the year. And we'll continue by praying for the new month on the 1st and the 2nd. I honor you. God bless you. I hope you were blessed by today's supernatural conversation. And I hope you were stirred to walk in the supernatural. Till I see you again, remain in God's love.